All right, welcome to another incredible episode of Two Drink Maximum. I'm your host, Chase.
I'm your co-host, Shane.
We are joined today by the incredible, the talented, and now Christmas tale sharer, Jim Krueger, is joining us today.
You know him, you love him. Jim, welcome back.
Welcome
Oh
back.
my gosh, I'm so glad to be here and to talk about this book. It's like been in the works for 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, we know. So now that it's finally out and we're literally all holding it in our hand right now, it's super
Yes.
exciting.
And it is a holiday-themed book, but first we've got to share what are we drinking and why are we drinking it.
We're drinking mulled wine, hot mulled wine, which is part of the Christmas tradition.
Piping hot mulled wine. I'm a little bit scared to
It is
sip
very
it, but
hot.
we do have to do that for the show. So let's raise our glasses.
try
Cheers,
it.
everybody.
Cheers.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Oh, that's good.
Ooh,
Yeah, oh, that's nice.
it is peppy. It is hot. This
So-
is like hot tea.
The recipe that we're drinking tonight is just from the New York Times.
Yep.
And just for all the listeners at home, you can find the recipe online. But what is in this is 2 large oranges, 1 liter of red wine, 10 ounces of brandy, half a cup of dark sugar, 2 cinnamon sticks, 6 whole cloves, and 3 cardamom pods slightly crushed. You kind of warm it all up, and then you put an orange slice in the glass. So it is, that's really
Good.
good.
It's a rich holiday flavor.
Yeah. So
I
what
actually like it.
What does mulled wine mean to you? What is it does it bring back memories or does it kind of evoke a particular time of year? What's special about it?
Well, it definitely tastes like Christmas.
Yeah, for
But,
sure.
Like, I just have a couple memories I love. I remember being in this bar in Wisconsin because that's where my family is and stuff
Yeah.
like that, called Boone and Crockett.
Nice.
And it's called Boone and Crockett for what was really funny because there were all kinds of animal heads on the walls and stuff like that. Classic old bar in Wisconsin,
Yeah,
and it was in the middle of a snowstorm. So in the small thing, you're seeing just it coming down in clumps, and just kind of drank it all night and never felt like fully inebriated. Just
Yeah.
felt amazing, like you were drinking something that came out of Willy Wonka's factory
Yeah.
or something like that. And you know what? I love Christmas. I always have. I really think from Halloween to Christmas is just the best part of the year.
That is the best. Not just because my birthday exists in that span of time.
All right. See, another holiday.
Yeah, sometimes. Well, it is usually Thanksgiving, so that's always nice.
Yeah.
But you've joined us today. You have a new book coming out called The Frankincense Monster and Other Creepy Christmas Stories. Tell us a little bit about your book. What was the inspiration for it?
It probably goes way, way back. I mean, like my inspiration for comics, my inspiration for jazz, like all that sort of stuff kind of goes to my dad. But in this case, it goes to my mom. And there's even a story in here that's a true story about my mom.
Nice.
I think it's called The Haunting Doll. But basically, as a kid, she would tape little advent calendars to the wall or to the window, and then every day we would open them. This is before they put chocolate in them or something like that. You
Yeah,
just
yeah.
open the little door to see what the image on the inside is. And then over time, because of my love for both Halloween and Christmas and the idea that there's a celebration of not being afraid of death while at the same time there's kind of a sad, melancholy celebration of new life.
Yeah.
And the two go together in such amazing ways. And because they're traditions like Christmas Carol, like Nightmare Before Christmas, like even movies like Gremlins that kind of really mix horror and holiday together. It just made me want to go, yeah, let me start doing this.
Yeah.
And then in some ways I was like, well, let me do a secret explanation that's going to be the secret origin to a certain character that I probably can't say, but everyone will get.
Right,
You
of
know,
course,
because
yeah.
of copyright and all that kind of thing. So all that kind of stuff. And then, especially when times were most traumatic, I would write one of these Christmas stories because I felt like it was a good time to be reminded of Christmas.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about the holidays, and I started thinking, okay, what happens during the holidays in this way, and this way, and this way? And for some people, it's sad, and for some people, it's joyful, and in some cases, you're bringing people together who haven't seen each other. And so I wanted to do stories that fit all these things.
Yeah.
You know. And so I've just been writing them. And so this is the first 13. And then next year, the follow-up book, this is the Frankincense Monster and Other Creepy Christmas Stories. Next year's will be I Saw Mommy Killing Santa Claus and Other Twisted Holiday Tales.
Appropriate.
That's awesome.
A
Yeah, it's this
wonderful
really
spin.
cool collection of short stories. I can't wait to dig into it. I think you're right. Like Christmas is usually a joyous time for most people that it's always kind of fertile soil to work in some kind of horror, creepy elements, right? But I think my only concern with people doing that is whether you love Halloween or whether you hate Halloween. You have to respect Halloween as the firm wall that is stopping Christmas from getting into stores by like August or June. You know what I mean? Like if Halloween didn't exist, you'd start seeing Christmas decorations in July. So it's like,
absolutely,
we got to keep Halloween a sacred holiday so that Christmas doesn't creep up even further into the calendar.
Even though at Walmart's that usually happens.
Yeah, I know.
Well, they're big enough they can put
Because
all
I'm
the
sure
holidays
that
out.
there are some listeners out there that it's like deep down they know if they could put up their Christmas tree in June, they would do it.
But it
you
would
know what
burn the
is-
house down by by November. So
Yeah.
it is.
But
that.
I mean, Spirit Halloween is year round. The stores are around year round. I don't see Christmas stores around year round. So
Well, you know what? Maybe though,
Halloween's
like little
got that.
towns and stuff, there might be Christmas stores open all the
You
time.
know, there are a couple. Like I kind of
Really?
love hanging in Big Bear, and there's a Christmas store in Big Bear. When you walk around the little area,
seems appropriate for
See,
Big
that's
Bear.
what I'm saying. Little like ski towns, little snow towns or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like 365, Christmas stores or whatever, but they're out there. But you're doing your thing to represent both holidays. We love
that's
it.
right.
Yeah,
that's
blending
right.
and making them awesome
And
together.
I almost feel like it's wrong not to love both. Like there's a relationship, as I mentioned.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
There is kind of a nice pairing between the two, right? Start off spooky and then end with fun-loving, joy.
I absolutely agree.
I don't know if any of these stories are fun-loving joy,
Well,
but
you mentioned the haunted doll.
yeah.
You said that was inspired by your mother, inspired by a story from your mother.
Actually, it's a true story.
Oh,
And I mean, I can.
do you want to read some of it?
Yeah.
Let's check it out.
Not to encroach on your forthcoming audiobook, I'm sure, but still.
Oh,
Yes. And now, TwoDrinkMaximum Theatre presents a dramatic reading by Jim Krueger.
This is the story called The Haunting Doll. This is the story of a Christmas present, one that haunts still to this day. My mother, who has long given up her German name of Hilma, was born in 1939, the beginning of World War II, in Nazi-occupied Poland. My mom's first home was not a home, but a series of homes. They were spread out and hidden throughout Nazi-occupied Poland. The dangers brought by German troop movements and by invading Russian soldiers forced my mom's family to move from one area to another, hiding, almost playing cat and mouse. It wasn't that they were considered dangerous or enemies of the Reich. It was more that whenever danger came close, they moved to where the danger wasn't. And this became more and more difficult as the war advanced through Europe. The one constant in my mom's life was her doll. It was a Christmas doll. And then
That
I'll
is intense.
move to the very last paragraph to tease where it goes.
Yeah.
Perhaps this isn't the type of story you expected to find in a book of this sort, but it certainly has a lot to do with spirits, some better than others. And after all, there was a beheading.
Very nice. Now, when you're writing short stories compared to writing comics or, to writing longer form content, do you kind of struggle to fit it all in, or do you kind of feel like when you get to that stop, you just know when you're like, this story's done. I've reached the conclusion.
Because I've like the sum total of prose that I've done includes little backup things in like Earth X, where
Sure.
Captain America is lamenting having had to kill the Skull, or the same company that puts this out, they've been publishing short stories of mine where there's fortunately I'm in a book with amazing people like Jonathan Mayberry, for example.
Yeah.
He's
Excellent.
and he wrote an intro to this, which is so amazing.
Nice.
But there are other stories that I'm doing, and the Steve Aoki thing is a novel, but I don't know, it just takes me long. It just takes me longer to write this. Like comics are so much easier for me because it's much more of a collaboration where I'm trusting the artist
Right.
to depict something, and I'm never so detailed that I'm expecting an artist to just do exactly what I'm saying. I'm kind of like, I get it. I'm working on this. I'm writing this, and then you're going to bring your own storytelling to it. But with a story like this, I'm kind of responsible for all the images and thoughts and words and even subtext that I want the reader, to
It's
get.
all you. Yeah.
You're painting the picture.
Yeah. And I would imagine that, I mean, there's a little bit more added pressure, but at the same time, it's, it is nice that you can get to 5, 6, whatever the length is, then boom, it's done. It's over, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to, if you're doing it correctly, there's an art form to it, and you can do the whole arc in a short amount of time versus, oh, great, this is chapter 1. Now I got to do 46 more chapters to fill this thing out.
Totally.
Is it freeing to be able to finish one, put it down, and then move on to the next one?
It definitely is, and I write this, like I ordered it well after I wrote them. Like it wasn't like, I'm going to do this one and this one and this one, though that's kind of how I've approached book 2. So I don't know, it's kind of that thing of just sitting and being inspired or hoping to be inspired or hope that somehow this will inspire someone else.
Yeah.
How many different iterations of the order of stories in this did you go through? You said you had to organize them a little. So it's kind of like building an album in that sense.
It really
It's
is.
like you have to take people
It
on a
really is
path.
because I right away at the beginning I wanted to start with something that was not what I would consider one of the epic stories of it all. And so I start with this vampire story about a 17-year-old that got bitten, and so he's perpetually, a pain in the ass,
Right.
for all of eternity.
Forever a little asshole.
And he's like, I thought she was just giving me a hickey, but and then it goes on from that, and the idea is that all the vampires tell him to get out of the city at Christmas, and he's like, who are they to tell me anything? Look at me, I'm a god, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then he begins to lament and hate the fact that no matter where he goes, even the worst of people are kind to each other. And the whole thing's giving him a headache and causing his ears to smoke, and
Poor existential vampire.
yeah. And so it's the story of how vampires might react to what would be considered a holiday or a holy day where no place is safe for a vampire.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, that'll be funny. Then I'll do a sad one, because there's sadness. Like when you read, like even, I almost feel like Little Match Girl is another holiday horror. And that's so sad. So I was like, okay, well, Christmas is sad too. So I'm going to tell a story of the reindeer games and about a girl reindeer and how she's trying to help her brother Rudy, whether that's Rudolph or not. I never, who can't fly, and how is she going to inspire him?
That's fun.
But see, that's the mark of a good writer, though, is that you're not just writing short stories and then just kind of putting them in order. You're already kind of thinking about the connective tissue of, okay, this one was kind of scary. Now let's kind of go for a sad one and then maybe kind of bring it up. You're kind of connecting the threads as a roller coaster.
Right, because there are some stories in here that I would consider, okay, here's epic. Here's like this is something I think people will really, really like. Like there's a prequel to Christmas Carol
Nice.
about Jacob Marley discovering he's a ghost, dealing with his own chain, and how he ultimately learns his lessons and then beseeches the Christmas spirits to save Scrooge. Because, in the original Dickens, the two almost can't be kept apart. Like to think of one is to look at the other.
Yeah.
And so it's stuff like that.
That's
Yeah.
very clever. I like the idea of Marley trying to save his friend
Yeah.
after the fact. Like, that's clever.
And I imagine, from just an intellectual property perspective, that a lot of the Christmas stories, a lot of the Christmas legends, myths, they're old, so they're kind of free reign to play around with, right? It's,
Totally.
I don't think anybody has a copyright on Santa Claus, right? You can still you can make that your own story.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah.
I think there's
Yeah.
versions. I bet Coca-Cola has a version copywritten somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, it's just like how, apparently like The Wizard of Oz is now it's over 100
Yeah.
years old, so it's open intellectual property. So
But-
you can write your own Wizard of Oz story if you wanted to. But like some of the things, like I think the ruby red slippers were an invention of an MGM film from 1939. So like the
And
ruby
Yellow
red
Brick
slippers,
Road. You can't
Yeah.
do Yellow Brick Road.
Really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. So like little things like that we now kind of consider crucial parts of the story. You can't touch those, you know. So I imagine there's little landmines here or there. But
I always wanted to meet the people who painted the yellow bricks.
Oh, those poor
was
poor
like, what-
people.
You know, was it the Munchkins? Because that would take them out of Munchkin land, and then they'd be in dangerous territory. And how long did it take?
So in the concept of the world.
Yeah.
Who did it? Oh,
Yeah.
that I don't know. That's a fun story. You could
Munchkin
probably tell.
bricklayers are probably just, you know, they never came back. It was like a one-way trip to Mars.
Going through all the parts of Oz,
Yeah.
carrying.
Yeah. Now, did
Incredibly
they paint
heavy
the bricks
gold
yellow,
bricks.
or are they just yellow bricks? Is that the real question?
I don't know.
Like they're made out of
Are they gold?
yeah. No, they're yellow, right?
I
But
always
they're-
imagined they were gold. Why else?
Well,
make
if
them
they were
yellow?
gold, why isn't, you know,
Well,
after Scarecrow gets his brains at least, why doesn't he start like grabbing parts of that road?
jackhammer, right?
Well, they
and
have
start
no
taking those
they
things
have
out?
no concept of money. It appears, and they're operating on magic and hot air balloons. So it's
How,
like
how frustrating then? You know, of course we believe the witch. She's the only one who gets it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
exactly. And I read a funny thing on the internet a while ago about someone did like a comedic take, but like they made Ebenezer Scrooge like a hero, where they're like, that dude just wanted to celebrate Christmas alone. He kept getting yanked out
Yeah.
by East Coast, and then he was forced to go to his employee's house for dinner. Like, you know, and like it was the way that they wrote it was just kind of funny, where it's like, yeah, you can spin anything to make anybody a hero, I suppose. But
Yeah. There was one point in which I was thinking, like, I've rejected a bunch of stories that went in here. At one point, I was going to do one where Ebenezer Scrooge is dealing with the fact that there's this noisy bug, the humbug of it all in his place, and it crawls up on him at night, and it like kind of rubs its legs together,
Yeah.
you know, and blah, blah, blah. And it just makes him a sad, sad guy all
Yeah.
the time because he can never get that humbug, so that anything else that upsets him, you know, just makes him think of that.
yeah, exactly. Now, did you? I mean, it was cool that you've been working on this for such a long time. Did you get poached by the publisher and they kind of said, like, Jim, we're looking for some holiday stuff. Do you have anything, or were you kind of? Did you have this kind of prepped and ready to go? And you
I
reached out to
had
them?
it prepped and,
Okay.
and reached out to them, and then they read the stories and they were just, like, they liked them.
Yeah.
Like they genuinely liked them. And even the publisher emailed me again last week and said, you know, I read this again, and there's so many things there that just move me, which is meant to be done.
Yeah, nice. Well, it's always nice when
always the
your
goal.
kind of opportunity presents itself with a
Yeah.
publisher. So it's great that it's physically out there. What's that like when you open up the box? You get sent the box for
Yeah.
the first time of all the copies, and there's like 40, 50 copies in there. You're like, yeah. Like, what is that feeling like when you open up that box?
Well, when the box came, I didn't realize what it was, which is even better. So when I cut the box open, I was like, who sent me stuff, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then I opened it, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's here.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Now, be honest, are people like coming out the woodwork like, Jim, can I get a copy? Or it's like, no, you can go online and buy it.
What's been really amazing is when I posted on things like Facebook and stuff like that. This time I've had a lot of people say I ordered 6.
Oh, wow.
I ordered 2. So,
Yeah.
you know,
it's a stocking stuffer.
yeah, it is.
Make it a stocking stuffer for your friends.
You know, yeah. Even if there's still a severed foot inside the stocking.
Ah.
Have you ever had to order any reprints like yourself? And then I was listening to an interview with Kevin Smith recently. He said, like, I'm shameless. Like, I order lots of stuff off of Etsy that's like stuff of me and like, you know, whatever. And so he's like, at least once or twice, like a year, I'll get a phone call or an email like, wait, is it really you? Did you order this? And so it's like, do you ever have to, or it's like, is this the Jim Krueger who just ordered 20 copies of his own book?
Well, you know, I mean, eventually some books go out of print before they get a reprinting, and then I always want to have things at Comic Cons to sign, you
Yeah.
know, or especially something that someone hasn't had access to, or, you know, there's still lots of people who don't order on Amazon or, you know, that kind of thing. And so it's always nice to have something.
Yeah.
And it's nice even like later on, you know, in January and February, I'll still have this book so that it even preps people for a second book next year.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it says book 1 on the cover, so it's people know there's more coming.
Well, I have to have the full 25, and now I'm rejecting stories in my own mind, so I'm upset.
Yeah.
Even some that I wrote.
the B-sides,
yeah.
the B-sides book, yeah.
Well, one thing that is very upsetting is that we have run to the end of our first glass here. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Jim Krueger.
Yeah. Chase, I don't know about you, but it does feel like ever since COVID hit, we spend so much time in our homes, and our homes have kind of become our office, and it's been this kind of weird blend of professional and home. I find that occasionally it is difficult to become creative in the house. Sometimes you got to get out and you got to find a different space to kind of let that creativity fly. And we are excited to share with our listeners that if you are in the LA area, we have the solution for you. We are proudly sponsored by The Muse Rooms, which is a creative co-working space that is here. They have a Hollywood location and they have a Burbank location, 2 convenient locations for you, that is ready to serve all of your creative space needs. If you want to rent space for a day to work on that screenplay, or if you need to rent a conference room for a big meeting that you have with a team that doesn't meet regularly, the Muse Rooms has got you covered. It's a great space. It's a great owner. It's a great vibe too. It's just a really cool, you'll get points with the youngsters for being cool for renting out.
It's the hip spot to be, indeed.
It definitely is. So give the Muse Rooms a check if you for all of your creative co-working space needs at the Muse MUSE rooms.com. And now let's move on to part 2 of the show. And we're back with another piping hot glass of mulled wine with Jim Krueger.
So good.
As we were looking at recipes for mulled wine, I found kind of a quick synopsis of the history of mulled wine. I thought it was kind of interesting because I didn't realize how far back it goes. So if you'll humor me, allow me to read this really quickly. I don't know if you know the story of mulled wine, but mulled wine originated back in the 2nd century. It was created by the Romans, who would heat their wine to defend their bodies against the cold winter. As the Romans conquered much more of Europe throughout the next century, their love for mulled wine spread across their empire and the regions they traded with. Its popularity continued to grow throughout the Middle Ages. Europeans would heat mixed wine with spices because they believed it would promote health and avoid sickness. They would use herbs and flowers as natural sweeteners to make unpalatable wines taste nicer. Over the time, the craze for mulled wine faded across most of Europe except for Sweden, where its popularity only increased. Claret, which is Ren wine, sugar, honey, and spices, and Lutendrank, which is a fun thing to say.
Lutendrank.
Spices, wine, and milk were just 2 of the variations that the Swedish monarchy
wine and
made
milk is
famous.
a choice.
That's a terrible choice, I feel like.
I feel like it would be called Lutenmilch.
Yeah.
Lutenmilk.
As more alternatives developed over time, recipe books started using the collective name Glog, which is a much cooler name for mulled wine, I think.
Yeah.
In 1609, the next big adaptation took place in the 1800s when cognac Glog started to become popular as well.
Starting to sound like just a drunk person ordering a drink, though.
Yeah, just
Cognac clog.
Winging it at the bar. Just put cognac
Give
in
me
it.
2 clogs.
Is there this term Wapatui out here?
What?
Have you ever heard of this?
What is this? No.
So this goes to like colleges.
Yeah.
And maybe some high schools in Wisconsin where I grew up. And the idea is that they would have a trash can, they would line it, and people would come to the party with different types of alcohol.
Oh, this is trash can punch. This is,
Yeah.
that's
And
what we call it.
so it's called Wapatui out there.
That's such a better name.
But there would always be someone there who had some sort of sense of taste who would be like, okay,
Bring
we're not
something
going to take
nice.
as much of this. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's make sure it's at least drinkable.
Wapatui has a bit of a mystery to it. Trash can punch, immediately you're like, no thank
You
you.
know what you're getting.
Yeah, no thank you.
But
I
you don't have
want
to
that.
sell anybody. It's like, do
Yeah.
you want trash can punch? Like, no. Or, yeah, sure. They go, what is it? And you go, it's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever we
Everything
had
we're
poured
drinking
into the
here is
party.
also in this big bowl.
Well, idea. So I said mulled wine is a pretty interesting history. So it made it
think
all
it's
the way
good.
from the 2nd century to our glasses tonight. So
I almost, but I couldn't do that to you. 'Cause it would be so cruel. But like, I'm a jazz guy. Like, I love jazz,
Yeah.
and I
Sure.
play saxophone and stuff like that. And one of my
Yeah.
favorites is this bass player named Charles Mingus.
Okay.
Who's
Cool
some of
jazz
his
name.
songs. Some of his music is so intense.
Yeah.
It's like really, like it can be really hard to listen to sometimes, but it's always got this amazing, especially his upbeat, like just a sense of groove to it. Like he was so mean too that if you played a wrong note during your improvisation, he was known to punch teeth out of saxophonists,
dear.
which meant they may not be able to
Yeah.
play saxophone anymore because they were missing teeth, or they'd have to just do it all through their lips like David Sanborn.
Yeah.
That was before that David Sanborn method existed. Anyhow, supposedly, and you can find only pieces of this recipe online, he made the ultimate Charles Mingus eggnog. And people would say 1 glass and they would need a taxi home.
yeah, 3 sheets to the wind. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I could only imagine. Eggnog is, as we discovered last season, neither of us
We're-
like
yeah, we're not a
eggnog.
fan.
So we'd already. But what are some of the things in it that do you recall anything?
Only that there was a tremendous amount of alcohol.
I bet it's just like
Although, to be fair, now that you say
8
it, that might
parts
make
vodka.
eggnog more palatable.
yeah, probably.
Oh yeah, no eggnog without.
We were not a fan of the amount of egg in eggnog,
Oh.
so it was a little rough.
Yeah, it was a little rough. But if you put some jet fuel in there, perhaps it
Oh, yeah.
spruces it up a little bit.
Yeah,
Everclear
no,
and all that
it
wonderful
has
stuff.
to.
Yeah, I would hope anyway. Oh God. Well, whether it's mulled wine or whether it's the Charles, what is it? What is
The
his name?
Charles Mingus eggnog.
Mingus
Charles Mingus
eggnog, a
eggnog.
perfect cocktail to to read your book by. But
So yeah, circling back to the book, you said, and forgive me if I already asked this question. How many things did you end up having to cut? You said you're building a book 2.
Oh yeah,
So like, is that one already ready, or do you
I-
still have some stories to fill in?
No, I still have some stories to write. And in some cases, like it'll take me so long because I want to come up with the perfect title. And if I
Yeah.
don't have the perfect title, then
I
I'm
also suffer from that affliction when I'm writing a thing.
because
It sets the tone.
title is everything.
Yeah.
Like one that took me a while to come up with, but now I'm so excited, and I finished this one is Children's Letters to Satan.
yeah,
And it's about a little girl who accidentally misspells Santa.
Yeah.
And
There
so
you
the
go.
letter goes to the wrong place.
yep,
And she ultimately ends up giving Satan a Yule log that will burn always in hell.
Yeah.
You know.
there you go.
Perfect.
But every once in a while he draws a little near, and it's a different kind of warm.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like stuff like that, because some of it's the jokes and some of it's the how do you do the joke, or how do you do the kind of the short story trick,
Yeah.
but have it still say something to Christmas about Christmas or the holidays, and then it goes from there.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
Are you going for like a sort of parable effect every time, or is there like any how do I want to phrase this? Are you trying to do the old Grimm's fairy tales where there's like a lesson that comes out of every story? Or is it
I would say
sometimes
that
just an
some
emotion?
of them certainly have lessons. Some of them certainly are, but it's more. I don't want to say it's like a fable or a moral
Yeah.
thing. In some cases, I just want to remind the reader of something else about Christmas that I don't think gets noticed that much. So sometimes the stories aren't the big epic Christmas. Oh, could this be a Hallmark show
Yeah.
kind of
Peace,
thing?
love, and joy for the world.
Yeah, because that's not really Christmas for most people.
Yeah.
Even people like go into Christmas with expectations, and then rarely is that expectation met. And so
Right.
it's kind of like we idolize a family get together, and
know.
then all of a sudden, mom and dad
You
are
can probably
doing
think
well in
about,
their marriage,
yeah,
and
80
blah
to
blah blah. And you have
90% of
all
your
that stuff
family
going,
interactions.
and
Yeah.
so there's disappointment, but then also there's surprise,
Yeah.
and it's always doing that. So in some cases, some of the stories are more like ways to, they're the ginger when you have sushi,
Yeah.
and maybe you've had too much wasabi on that last piece.
Right. Exactly.
know.
Just to balance it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. You're right, though. I think almost everybody, perhaps, whether you celebrate Christmas or not, everybody has this mental image of what they want Christmas to be. And I think rarely does Christmas ever live up to that expectation in your head.
Yeah.
So a lot of Christmas is just managing expectations.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's the reality of Christmas. That's the reality of Christmas is finding that happy middle ground. It's not perfect. It might not be a Coca-Cola ad
No.
with polar bears, but it's still, you're usually surrounded by loved ones, and it's a good thing.
Find the good parts of each holiday and enjoy them.
Well,
I might have made a mistake in it though.
go on.
Because the intro, but I love this story about my daughter Courtney so much. The intro starts with me going into the day I told her the reality about Santa Claus.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, I have to come up with a good explanation. So I said, when someone says thank you for a gift you've given them, that's already kind of the reward. So Santa is a disguise parents have so that they can just give without even getting the thank you in response.
Oh.
It's just a form of giving it. And then I said to her, and someday the exciting thing, even if it's not your children but just others, is you'll be able to give in secret like that. You'll be able to wear, the Santa mask, so to speak.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she goes, "Okay, I get it. I'm going to believe anyhow." And I was like,
Aw.
Christmas is also like the holidays and family. It's also kind of defying a world that beats us down during the year. And and it's us saying to the world, maybe more frosty, but here's a frosty fuck you,
Yeah.
Earth.
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy
Be happy
my
anyway.
family. I'm going to be happy
Yeah.
anyway. I refuse to be torn down. And so that's what I love. Christmas is even, it seems like, and I mean Christmas, but the holidays and everything, it's a defiance to sometimes the sad, cold realities we live in.
Yeah.
Ending the year in a joyful way.
See, dude, that's
despite how it all played out.
Yeah, see, listen to him talk about he's so
knows what he's
passionate
talking
about Christmas. Like I know that passion is in all of these pages.
Yes.
So I cannot wait to dig into this
Oh,
book.
so grateful. Thank you.
Well, yeah. Well, so we thought we'd do something to kind of help you out for maybe the next book or maybe like rejects for book 4. We did a little bit of research and we found 3 kind of spooky, like creepy Christmas urban legends from around the world, and we wanted to tell you about them and pitch them and see if you like them or if there's anything. I think we should do them in order, just like descending order of messed upness. So let's start with number 3. The
Number
last one
2
there
is for sure the most messed up.
is the most messed up. Yeah. So let's start with number 3. Do you want to read that one out, Chase? Good
Of
luck saying
course,
the title.
giving me the difficult one.
That's why I stuck you with it.
Number 3, Necked Ruprecht.
Have you heard of this?
I have.
You have?
Yes. Okay.
So this one's already gotten passed for you. But Necked Ruprecht has been mentioned as a companion of St. Nicholas, but he would go from house to house and ask children to pray. If they did, he would give them a treat, apples, nuts, etc. But if they didn't, he would give them useless trinkets, coal sticks, etc. The worst would come if they refused to even try to pray. He would beat them. That seems to be a common theme. People beating up children. With his bag of ashes that he liked to carry around. It is even said that he would leave a switch for their parents to beat them with during the year.
So not only does this dude show up to
What
your
a
door,
real jerk.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's like pray or become my prey.
Yeah. Or
Could
people
you
will beat you
imagine,
with sticks year round.
5 years old, Christmas Eve, you get a knock on the door. You're like sleeping in your pajamas. You better pray right now. And if you don't do it good, I'm going to beat you to death. I'm going to beat you with
Well,
this
it's a
bag of
random
ashes.
gentleman that looks like a younger Santa shows up.
Yeah, he does.
I'm so glad that Necked Rupert isn't like Naked Rupert and he comes to your house.
Nick
That sounds
Rupert.
terrible.
I mean, yeah. I don't know if that's scary more than just that guy sounds like an asshole.
Yeah,
you know
just
what I mean?
like don't answer the door for that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, why isn't he on Santa's naughty list?
Yeah,
what is that
exactly.
about?
He's independent of the naughty list.
I have a hard time believing that the jolly old Saint Nick we know is like chummy with that guy.
I don't. He's
You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, Nick. God.
No. I think he's a name dropper.
Yeah.
I
don't really
Santa
know
and
him.
I are tight, and if you don't pray,
Yeah.
And every year someone's like, "This guy Nick said he know you," and Santa's like, "I have no idea who that guy is."
he's my brother-in-law. I have to take him in the sled every year, or else I
Yeah.
never hear the end of
You
it from
know,
Mrs. Claus
That,
all year.
well, that was
Oh
the
my
first
God.
Mrs. Claus, and he won't leave me
Got
alone.
this thing about hitting kids with sticks. I'm not really into it.
Now he's just kind of stuck, and I can't really seem to shake him. I don't know. He shows up in the sled every
He
year.
keeps kids on the nice list though. So
Yeah, but
what are
he-
you gonna do?
Yeah,
I'll
that's
tell you
cool.
this, he whips him in line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
All right, what do we got next?
you got
All right, we'll do Perchta. Have you heard of Perchta?
I don't know.
Okay, this one sounds pretty. This is terrifying. Perchta is a dual-gendered spirit who may appear as either a beautiful woman or a haggard crone. She would visit homes throughout the 12 days of Christmas and determine whether or not the children had behaved all year. If they had, she would leave them a silver coin. And then if you get this. If they hadn't, she would slit their bellies open, remove their guts, and stuff the hole with straw and pebbles. I mean, dude, if I was...
that's such a big swing.
Imagine if you're a parent telling that to your kids. Yeah, what a
If you're good, you get a gold coin. If
Yeah.
you're bad, we're going to disembowel you.
disembowel you, vivisect and disembowel
Stuff you with hay.
Oh
At
my
least it
God.
wasn't big rocks. It's pebbles.
Yeah, it's pebbles.
Life goes on.
You
Yeah,
can
I
get
don't think
'em
you're
in
worried
there.
about that part of the ordeal.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. I would never sleep. I don't know. Whoever told this to their kids, this looks like it's probably from
But did it say two gendered? But it's
dual gender?
Dual gendered.
Dual gendered. However,
That doesn't
it's
seem.
just age because a haggard
Yeah.
crone. I guess crones in legend don't have a gender sometimes.
Oh, they did.
They don't.
They don't have to.
Wow.
I suppose not. I'd rather get the beautiful woman, but then again, at the same time, if they're gonna slice me open and stuff me with rocks, I
Yeah,
don't really
you
think
guys,
it
you
matters
guys might
in
be
the end.
inspiring something here because
There
it
you go.
seems like the beginning of of Beauty and the Beast, where the crone
Oh
comes.
yeah, you meet the crone
And it's like,
and fall in love with the woman.
do
and
you
then get
have,
disemboweled.
wow.
There could be some marketing opportunities for that, like old crone versus beautiful woman. Like maybe it's makeup, maybe it's Maybelline, it's Perchta. Yeah.
Maybe it's Perchta.
All right, and we got one more for you. We'll see if this one tickles your fancy.
Our final one, Gyrla. Am I saying that?
Gryla.
Gryla. We'll go with Gryla.
Go Gryla.
Originating in Iceland, Gryla is a giantess who is able to sense misbehaving children all year round. She keeps a record of those children and eats them as a snack during Christmas time. Oh, man. In later years, the legend had her being the mother of the Yule lads. That sounds amazing, too. Mischievous creatures who would play pranks on townspeople.
You skipped over detail, though. Apparently, as you can see in the image below, eating
She
kids
would make a
was not
stew of them,
a
yeah.
baby stew, like a kid's stew.
She is making a baby stew.
Look at
which
that.
is pretty rough.
Oh my gosh.
But she
that's
doesn't look
awful.
very giant in that.
Yeah.
But you know what? What's kind of interesting about that story is imagine Santa all this time, like not really paying attention, but just noticing it's just nice.
Yeah, we're all
it's
the
an
bad
entire
kids.
nice list. And then the reality is that, oh, no, all the naughty kids have gotten eaten.
Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, it makes his
That
job
could
a
be
little
fun.
bit easier, but like, at what point did we as a humanity decide, like, we got to end the stories of kids getting eaten for Christmas? Like, that can't.
Well,
It's a real
Roald Dahl
con-
made it something for year round. So
that's true.
He was not so nice to kids.
I just can't imagine being, a kid and being told by anybody, like, by the way, and if you misbehave,
Someone will eat you.
or it will put you in a stew.
Yeah. And that's the only form of like reprimand and what keeps you on the straight and narrow as a young child. Like, man, the world used to suck.
And I'll tell you this, since we know it's ancient as well, perhaps some of the stew was made with mulled wine. We never know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that would help. That would,
But back
okay.
then, they couldn't take your
I-
Xbox. They couldn't ground you.
I like to think I try everything. So, there it is.
Try everything once, right?
I will pass on baby stew.
Yeah, I firm pass on that
No,
for
no.
me. But,
Of course, me too.
Oh God. Well, you know what? If one of those characters makes it into one of the next volumes of the book, we'll be delighted to see what twisted ways you can take
Oh, yeah.
it.
I love it.
Oh God. Well, Jim, we really appreciate you coming out, and we really hope that people get excited about the book because it's awesome, it's exciting. So, where can people find this so that they can pick it up?
I mean, you can order it at a bookstore. It's definitely because of.
Is there a place you prefer for people to get it?
Well, if someone goes into their local comic shop and gets it, because I have that background and that's how people know my writing, even though this is all prose, the comic shop can definitely order it. But some bookstores can order it.
Okay.
Definitely you can get it on Amazon, which is probably the easiest way to get it.
Everyone go into your local comic book shop and make a request for the Frankincense Monster and Other Creepy Christmas Stories by Jim Krueger. Make them order a whole box and then get a bunch of your friends and come to the comic book store and buy all the books up.
It is conveniently sized. Would that come into play? Like, did you think like stocking stuffer? Like, did that kind of cross your mind?
that was part of it. And even though the size is kind of like the size of the other books that come out from this company, it's thinner. The idea was like 13 this year, 12 next year. Because I don't know, I've gotten books for my birthday, for holidays, for whatever. And if it's a long one, I get scared. But this is just
So
it's
for
nice.
Christmas, I'm buying you a copy of Infinite Jest. That's what I'm buying.
Yeah.
My gosh, I'm hoping that's an
I'll
Infinite
get you War and
Jest.
Peace. I'll get you War and Peace. It's great.
Yeah, there you go. All 1,400 pages. Oh, God. Well, this is great, Jim. Thank you again so much for stopping by as we kind of wind down our drinks here. We hope that you have a great holiday season, and we are so excited for the book, and we can't wait to have you back when the next one comes out.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, can I say one last thing?
Absolutely,
Of course.
please.
Actually, no.
I'm approaching. In the writing of this, I approached it as this is the spirit of the holidays.
Yeah.
It's the different mythologies that work themselves through our lives during the holidays and our experiences. I didn't do anything like overly religious here or anything like that. It's meant for everyone.
Nice.
Even though I have the word frankincense in the title.
Sure. And like I said, the cover, the cover, the size, the thinness of the book, it's a very approachable book. Like, I can't see anybody being daunted by it.
And I should say that the cover was painted by John K. Schneider, who I've worked with so many times, there's a Foot Soldiers omnibus in the works, and he almost has a special section in it because we've been friends for a while. And the other thing, John K. Schneider's done so many things, paintings for Marvel and all that sort of thing. But he's also one of the guys who drew that first run of Suicide Squad.
Hey,
Nice.
So
it's pretty.
Very cool. The John Oslander run or whatever?
Yeah.
Nice.
John Ostrander.
Josh Ostrander, that's right. Yeah. I was close. I was in the ballpark.
I'm not even gonna try. I've done.
Once again, your comics pedigree is quite impressive. So we always appreciate you taking the time to come down and see us.
No, so grateful.
Yes,
thank you,
thank you
guys.
so
Well, I
much.
think we should end with a nice holiday cheers with our mulled wine, and
Cheers.
I would say
Cheers.
from our glasses to yours, happy holidays, everybody.
Sounds good.
Cheers.
Oh, thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Be sure and check out our sponsor, The Muse Rooms, a wonderful creative co-working space that we record out of. That's themuserooms.com, M-U-S-E for Muse. You can also follow us online at TwoDrinkMaximum, TWODRINKMAXIMUM.
Now, he's
on
got it
Instagram.
now.
I telling you, every evening in front of my mirror, I'm like, TwoDrinkMaximum.
You have it, you have it written like in lipstick, like the red rum thing. Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Jim, for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.